for today's activity, we're going to be designing our first part. That's going to involve doing some extrusions, which I'm going to walk you through here step by step. So first thing we need to do is we need to choose part. And if you have a menu that pops up on the right side, that'll simply go away once you start designing. Now, the first thing that we need to note are the planes. We have a front plane, a top plane, a right plane, and there's something that you can do to, let's say, choose top plane. You can see here, and then you can go normal to, and that'll look at the top of it flat. However, what I also need you to note is that if you hit spacebar when it's selected, you also can get this viewpoint of orientation. If you're already looking at normal to, I'm just going to hover over this in a second. It says normal to rotates and zooms the model. So if I'm already looking at the top and I click this, in fact it's going to flip it to look at the bottom. And a good way to check whether you're looking at the top or the bottom just simply says down here, bottom. An easier way, in my opinion, to navigate looking at these planes are to simply click on these arrows down here. So I'm going to click on the red arrow. Okay, now I'm looking at the right plane. I can click on the red arrow again, it's looking right at me, but if I click on it again, now I'm looking at the left plane. Yellow arrow, top. So we always want to make sure that we are looking at the top when we're designing here on that plane. In order to start drawing, you need to select a plane. If you are, let's say, looking at this in this orientation here, it's not going to allow you to draw your first shape. So I'm going to click on the green arrow here, and now we're looking at the top. So the first thing that we want to draw, we're going to sketch, is a square. So up here I'm going to choose sketch. Okay, we have rectangle, and we have some drop down arrows here. My arrow's in the way here, but we have a corner rectangle, center rectangle, and this is just simply how you draw those. So corner rectangle, as you draw it, you draw from corner to corner. In center rectangle, you draw from the center out. We'll do that. I'll show you the drawing out from the center out when we do the circle part of this. So for now, I just simply would like for you to draw a rectangle. So I have it selected here. I can draw, by holding down my mouse, a rectangle. Draw any size that you would like. Because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how to do the dimensions. So go ahead and pause the video, draw a square, and then come on back to the video. Alright, now just a reminder, as you're watching these videos, every step, if you're getting a little bit behind, just pause the video. I find that sometimes what we do is we just hit play and we let the whole video run, and then we get too far behind and we aren't quite sure where we're at. So make sure you're pausing the video. So now that I have this drawn, you notice that my cursor is still a pencil. There's a couple things that we need to do to get out of this sketch or this shape and get back into selection. So there's a couple things we can do. We can either go over here on the left side and we can click this green check mark. That's going to say, all right, we're all done drawing this for now. Easier way, my opinion, right click on your mouse, choose select, and now you notice that our pencil turns into an arrow. Here we go. Next thing I need to do is we need to make this a certain size. And here's the easier way to do this rather than drawing it and try to be super precise. We have this square here. I have it selected. I'm going to go up to Smart Dimension here. And when I click on Smart Dimension, what I can do is I can click on a side. Oh, I clicked out of it by accident. Click on a side, and I can drag it out. And I want this to be a 3" by 3" square. So I still have Smart Dimension selected. I'm going to drag this one down. I'm going to make this also 3" by 3". I hit the check mark, and there we go. We have a 3" by 3-inch square. Now the part that I have in class that I want you to draw, it has a square and then it has a little half circle over here. Next thing I want you to do is I want you to grab this circle tool. Now if I were to zoom in and I were to point at this line and I get close to it, there's going to be, there it is right there, a yellow, let me see if you can see it on your video, it might be a little small. There's a yellow square. That's the center point of that line. I'm going to start there because I'm drawing from the center out. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to drag like this. I'm going to draw that circle. Great. My radius is 1.5 because this is 3 inches. So if it's 3 inches, the radius is only half of that, 1.5. Perfect. So once again, I can click the check mark here, or I can right click and click select, and now I have my 2 shapes. If you roll your mouse up and down like you're scrolling on a document or a website, you'll zoom in and out. If you hold down on your mouse wheel, hold it down, like push it down like a button, you're going to be able to rotate your drawing. Now you notice that we are only in 2D. This is flat right now. Okay? I'm out of orientation here, so I'm going to click the green arrow again. Here we go. And now what we're going to do is we're going to grow these vertically. Okay, that's called an extrusion. And how we do that, I'm going to simply just select, let's say select this square. I'm now going to go to Features, and I'm going to do an extruded boss or base. And when I click on this, it's simply going to ask me over here, how deep do I want it to be? Now before I do that, I know that I have it selected because if you look at our square right now, there's a little bit of a yellow haze to it. That's actually a raised, it's showing you sort of like a preview of what it's going to look like before you actually change that shape. I'm going to make this 2 inches tall. So I'm going to go over here, it's already selected, I type in the number 2, I hit the enter button, and now I have my cube. Now check this out. I'm still in this feature here, this extruded, this boss extrusion. I can either hit check, I can do the same process again. I can click on it, I can do this, go here and type it again. But if I'm already in this feature and I select another one, look at that. It just simply made this one the same size. So now that I'm done with that, I'm going to click the check mark. And now I have my shape here. Okay? So that I have a 3D shape now. So this is 3 inches this direction. We have about 1.5 inches of a radius here. 3 inches, and it's 2 inches tall. Now what we're going to play with for our first project is we're going to play with doing an extruded cut. So our shape, we have a circle over here, we have a triangle here, and then we have a little cube here. So let's start with the circle over here. So once again, we need to go back to sketch. We're going to select circle, and what it's going to tell us immediately is, hey, you don't have a plane or a face or a base or anything that you're drawing on right now. I don't know where you want to draw this. So when you click on this and you get this little arrow here, what it's telling you to do is you need to choose where you're cutting that hole. So this is already a 3D shape that I'm going to cut this as the hole. So I click on this and say I'm selecting this as my base. And now you see I have a little pencil here, a little drawing tool. I'm going to draw this. I want this radius to be, let's say, let's make this 1 inch. There we go. I have that drawn. Now if I were to continue to click and drag, I'm going to continue to draw circles because I am in this the drawing tool here. So I'm going to hit the check mark, or I right click and hit select, and now I can move my shape around. Here's a neat little feature here. We're going to use what's called a center line, because I want this to be as close as possible to this center point. Remember, there's a circle underneath here, okay? And I want this to be as central as possible to that. Now I can eyeball it, but that's not quite as accurate. So I'm going to grab this tool up here, and that's called a line. We're going to use a center line. So a center line, think of that essentially as like an imaginary line for you to use to just sort of sketch a little bit. Okay? Now watch this. If I were to grab and point here, you see there's my little yellow box. Okay? And if I point over here, here's one here. So I'm going to connect those dots. So I'm going to click on this. I'm going to draw a line straight over. And you see the other box little shows up there. I click on that. Now look, I still have this little line attachment. That's kind of annoying. In order to exit out of it, I need to right click and choose select. So there's my first center line this direction. Now I'm going to do another center line. Center line here. And I'm going to grab, it's like right here. And I'm going to drag this straight down. And I'm going to click it right there. And then again, still attached here. Right click, select. So now I have this centerpiece. Now I'm in the selection option right now. You can tell because I have my arrow. And I can now drag this shape, this circle that's floating. It's still a sketch. I can drag it. I'm going to get as close as possible. Now there is a way that we can snap this together. We're not going to worry about that today. Let's get it pretty darn close. So the closer that I zoom, the more accurate it is. So that blue little square, it might be hard to see in the video. That blue little square is what I want to line up right on those crosshairs. That's pretty darn good. Let me zoom out. And now that I have that, we now need to turn that, because remember, we're only in a sketch right now. We need to turn that into a cut. So if I have it selected, oops, I just moved it. Let's hit the undo. That's the easier way to do that. I have this selected. I'm going to go to Features, and I'm going to do an extruded cut. Now remember, this is 2 inches here. When we have the option here that says blind, that just simply means we get to designate how deep this cut's going to go. So in a little bit we're going to make some cuts that are 1 inch or ½ an inch. You can choose from the drop down here. If you have multiple holes and multiple shapes, you can choose here that I want it to go through all. I want it to go up to the surface and so on. This button right here will toggle which direction the cut goes. Okay, so that doesn't make much sense to have that cut go that way. We want it to go through the shape, but that's what this button does. It toggles which direction. So I have that hole there. I hit the check mark. Now I have my hole through my shape here. We're going to make 2 more extruded cuts, and then we're done with today's lesson. We're going to put a triangle here, and we're going to put a cube right here. So we get back to our top-down view. Perfect. I'm going to zoom in a little bit by rolling the mouse ball or scroll on my mouse. We're going to go back to Sketch. I'm going to draw a triangle. Now you notice there's no triangle option here. I'm actually going to have to draw this. I'm going to do that using the lines. So I click on lines. It say, hey, once again, which face are you drawing on here? Okay, because you don't have anything selected. You can't just draw in the air. Click on that. We have it selected. All right, now let's find, there it is, that yellow square right here. That's my center point. Click. I'm not holding down, I'm just clicking. And I'm going to find that other one. Where's that other one at? Right there. Click. Come over here to the corner. Click. Go up. Let's close this off by going click. Now before, when we were drawing something, the lines, okay, Okay, the center line, we had to right click and hit select. Once you close up a shape using the regular align tool, you don't need to necessarily close it out by clicking off of it, by right clicking and hitting select. But what you do need to do still, you need to right click and hit select in order to finalize that you're done creating a line. So it's not necessarily ending the line. We've already done that. A little bit different. But we can either hit select here, or we can hit the checkbox over here. Two ways we can do that. Great, here's my shape. Wonderful. I want this thing to cut down 1 inch. So this is 2 inches tall. I want it to cut down 1 inch. So I'm going to go over here to Features, Extruded Cut. And now you see we have this is where we can type in where it's the blind cut, means we can designate how deep we want that to cut. Let's change this from 2 inches to 1 inch. And I hit the enter button. Bingo. I can hit the check mark here. Look at that. Now we have a cut. Last thing we want to do, I want to put a little 1/2 inch cube cut right here. So let's go back up to the sketch. I'm going to draw a cube here, up, and once again, I don't have a face or a plane selected. Let's do this from the top down. Easier that way. There we go. I'm going to choose here. It says OK. I'm going to draw this cube. Okay, let's just get close. Have it drawn. Right click and hit select, because now we can make this the specific size that we want. And remember, we did that by using Smart Dimension. So I have Smart Dimension selected. Drag that out. That's pretty close, 4.9, but let's make it 0.5, 1/2 inch. Great. Let's drag this one out. Make this 0.5, 1/2 inch. Okay, now we have our 2D shape. And it's a cube, so we need to drop it down 1/2 inch also. So once again, we're still in Sketch. Let's go over to Features. Okay, oh, I didn't close it out. I'm still in Smart Dimension. That's my fault. Now we're in Features. Okay, let's make this an extruded cut now that we have it selected. Great. It's going to say we make this 1 inch. I'm just going to guess it's 1 inch. And we're going to say, nope. I want you to make it 0.5. And you can hit Enter. We finalize the cut. And there is going to be our first part. Let's look at it from down here, and I can roll it then and look at it. Very neat. So what I need for you to do here, I need for you, for your exit ticket, to take a screenshot using the snipping tool. Draw your shape, snip it, and then upload it as your exit ticket. I need you to edit it. I need you to upload it in a format that I can actually see the 3 dimensions. This does not work looking from the top down because I can't see these extruded cuts here. So rotate it just ever so slightly. Something like this. Doesn't necessarily have to be that direction. It can be this direction. I just want to be able to see these extruded cuts here.